Hey guys, Manoj and Phil here again. So just wanted to drop in and sort of give you some updates, some advice on how things are going outside and what you can be doing to manage your life right now. As you can see, you know, I'm in a different part of my home. This is how life is going to be moving forward. We just going to have to figure out, what are the nooks and corners of our homes where we can set up our temporary workplaces and sort of manage our daily lives. My kids are running around here, so this is all part of the real life experience that we are going through, and we understand you are going through similar challenges. So the thing is, as we get used to this environment, this will become our new normal, and so that's sort of what we are trying to guide you through. Phil, do you want to add something before we move on and give some more?
Sure. I mean, well, we were discussing this earlier, weren't we? That it takes 21 days to form a new habit or to
Mhm,
break a habit.
mhm,
And ultimately, what's the number one habit that we're all learning right now? It's working from home. It's being at home. It's spending more time with our families. Some people, that's a good thing. Some people, that's not a good thing.
mhm.
But ultimately, it's adding a lot more clarity to every situation. I'm seeing more and more posts in amongst the scaremongering of people saying, actually, this is quite nice. It's been time to sort of reconnect with the family and an opportunity to think and take stock. And a lot of the most successful people that I know and that we work with, they're taking massive action right now. This is about a time for moving forward and getting ready for what's to come. And yeah, do you know what? That's ultimately why we're here. We're hoping to
Yeah,
kind of impart what we know, what we've learned from other people, and kind of guide you through that process. Because
yeah,
if this is the new habit, are you going to want to go back to an office
yeah,
environment? Is it going to be safe to go back to an office environment? And if so, how long is that going to take? Is there going to be an office anymore?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and as a way of introduction to just sort of get on the right foot on in this new journey that we are intending to go on. Just wanted to make sure that we know each other. We understand about our who we are as a person, our backgrounds, our experience. So some of you may know us already from different podcasts or pieces of content that we have published. But just as a way of introduction, once again, my name is Manoj Agarwal. I've been in the software industry for about 22 years, and my background is, I started off my career working in a factory in a small agricultural community in India, and from there I went on to do some amazing things, some amazing projects with companies like Microsoft and Pearson. I've written a couple of books. I have a few patents in technology, machine learning. So I've been lucky to meet some amazing humans, learn from them, and what I really want to do is bring all that experience, bring all that knowledge and wisdom to all everybody who is willing to receive and use it in their lives, and sort of flourish, not only survive in this crucial time, but flourish and thrive. So that's what we intend to do. That's what we are bringing. And since I came from this community, like as a software engineer, I'm at the core, I am a software engineer, and I want to make sure that people who are in my position where I was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, what have you, um, can use some guidance. I know I could have used some when I needed the most. So that's what we are looking to provide here. Phil, do you want to go in?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I guess that's why we complement each other so well, because obviously you come from the software engineer background. I am a business consultant at the forefront of the what we call the remote working revolution. Technically, I'm a digital and strategy consultant. So, my job has been to help tech savvy businesses to understand how they can improve performance, reduce cost. I have a saying, which is companies should hire the best person for the job, not the best person within 60 minutes of the job. um Stand by that quite strongly. And I think it's as somebody who set up my own business and somebody who has been at the sort of the tech strategy end of helping businesses to understand how to attract the market. I have then been sort of reverse engineering that for a number of years now to help individuals to set their startups up, tech startups as well, to understand how to be a bit more agile, how to think differently, how to leverage the great global network and of partners that there are around them to achieve better things. So to kind of echo what you said, I mean, I guess if you've been sat sort of thinking to yourself now, not just about survival, but how do you thrive during this situation? What are the options available to you? What's the situation going to look like afterwards? We don't have a crystal ball. We can't predict that. But what we can do is help you be best prepared that no matter what comes, you'll be in a good position to take advantage of it and be successful in what you do.
Yeah, and as Phil said, in any crisis situation, the best chance we have at making through this crisis is being prepared and support. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So preparation is the key, and preparation. Obviously, as Phil said, like nobody knows what is going to happen. This is not a situation that anybody has prepared for, but with experience you can anticipate a few things, how things are going to unfold, and through that experience you can be a little bit better prepared, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so that's what we are trying to do to not only prepare ourselves, but whatever we are learning in the process, sharing with others, so that others can get prepared as well. And then on top of that, providing the tools and frameworks to actually implement a lot of what we are going to share, or what we know that works. To a few of us, we have been doing this for a while, so for us it's a little bit easier. It's common knowledge. Like, if we say, okay, we need to come up with a landing page, if we talk about customer avatar, these type of terms are, to some people are very clear, but to some people it may not be as clear. But the fact of the matter is, in the world that we are going to be living in now, or we are living in, these things will need to be understood. We will need to really adopt it, embrace it, understand it. No longer can we be a specialist in PHP or ASP.NET. I mean, these are skills that we have, but along with that, we will need to think about, okay, how do we build a profile? How do we market ourselves?
Correct.
So that's the professional side of things. And then there are other aspects, like, how do you deal with the mental aspect of being isolated? How do you make sure you don't consume too much negative material, get sucked into the news cycle of sensational headlines and all that stuff? So
Yeah, exactly.
these are all the things that you will need to really understand and adopt.
Yeah, I think it's such an important aspect to understand mentally how you need to prepare for this as well. It is a time of uncertainty. We said in one of the other lives, try as much as possible to avoid the news. There's a lot of scaremongering out there as well. I mean, I'm not going to go off on a rant on this, but I have found it frustrating how some people have kind of embellished stories just to kind of scare people further. And I don't think there's any need for that when the whole world's already panicking as it is. But look, I think ultimately it's about taking actionable steps, isn't it? It's about knowing what to do next. And I guess as a little exercise ahead of the live broadcast that we're going to be doing next week, which are actually aptly called the Remote Working Revolution, I want you to just have a think about a couple of things. So think about where you are right now. Sort of write down a couple of bullet points about your current situation, where you find yourself. Then just take a few minutes to sit quietly and reflect on where you'd like to be. Don't just think about the next 12 months. Think about what's the dream, what's the vision, what do you kind of close your eyes and think that would just feel perfect. That would be incredible. That's the life of my dreams. And then what we start to do is, and this is the way I've always worked. I mean, I came from a surveying background, so this is literally how my head works, but you reverse engineer it. You look at, so coming in from a QS perspective, you look at, how many bricks am I going to need? How much space am I going to need? How much space am I going to need to store these? How much is that going to cost me? What's this going to cost me? Do I need any specialist material? Do I need this? Do I need this? What materials are we going to need? What machines are we going to use? And it's exactly the same for starting a business or any project for that matter. It's about looking at where you're trying to go and reverse engineering it from there. And provided each action that you take is a step in the direction of that journey, you will eventually get there. I think this is a great time to refresh and take stock of the way that we've been either doing business or handling our own careers, because we've been forced to take stock. We've had to stop. We've had to stop. So let's use the opportunity to think and say, am I truly living the life that I want to live, doing the things that I want to do? Or have I, like so many other people, found myself in the situation where I'm living, I'm just surviving. I go to my job, I don't really like it. I earn money, I pay my bills, and the same thing starts again next month.
Yeah. So, and then there are certain things that we need like a higher level question, like even thinking about whether being in a job, in an event like this, which was unthinkable, like what kind of uncertainty it provides, because let's face it, moving forward, it is going to get really tricky to figure out where we fit in this world. Whatever label we had, like as I said earlier, whether we were a consultant, whether we were data analyst, and uh, you know a programmer, project manager, those roles may ultimately shift slightly depending upon how long this shutdown goes on, what the economic effects are.
It's not about the titles, it's about the solutions, isn't it? It's about the solutions and the skills that you can provide rather than the
Yeah.
title that somebody associated with you when you joined a job a few years ago.
But here's the thing, like even the problems that we are typically supposed to solve, they will change.
They're changing too, of course they are, yeah.
Yeah.
Very much
So
so.
based on that, like, I mean, hypothetically speaking, it may not be even called a project anymore. It may be called something else, like initiative, because it's going to be so geographically dispersed and so flexible.
Very much
I don't
so.
know, I'm just throwing out these
No,
ideas,
you're
right?
right.
Yeah.
I mean, well, look, as a philosophical question to pose. I mean, we actually posed this very question to each other the other day. Are you safer with one full-time employed job or as a freelancer with 3 clients?
Mhm.
And ultimately that should spark some kind of thoughts in people's minds, because especially in a time like this when you start to see companies just laying off hundreds if not thousands of people. I was going to say, without thinking about it, that's not fair. I know there's a lot of thought that goes into these things, but you understand what I mean. There's no personalization there. It's, we need to save money, 500 people are gone. And those people, I'm sure if you ask them that very question now, they tell you they'd much rather be a freelancer with 3 clients. I guess it's a different way of thinking, isn't it? And that was the way that I always thought. It scared me being employed by somebody. I've been involved in multiple projects for a number of years now, and that's provided some serious stability. Not every frog you kiss turns into a princess.
Well, I mean,
So it's good to have multiple clients
yeah.
and multiple irons in the fire.
Yeah. That being said, like, even if people want to, it's a life decision right now, like, whether you want to stay in a job or you want to become an entrepreneur. I think what we are saying is, looking at whatever is going on, it may be in your long-term best interest to think like an entrepreneur. But that being said, what we intend to do is provide you help and tools, even if
Of
you
course,
are.
you just have to be prepared. I just want,
Yeah.
listen, if there's still loads of positions after this, and you can go and get a nice juicy contract, I still think there's going to be a lot more remote working contracts than ever before, which will be an interesting dynamic alone. So we'll give you the resources and tools and skills that you need to meet those requirements. But no, I'm not saying give up your job and go and do this. I'm saying you have to be prepared for what comes next, because the likelihood is, whether it's the office, whether it's the environment, whether it's the type of contract, or whether it's just the problems and solutions that you're going to be providing, things are going to change, and you have to be ready for that change.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely there are certain things that you have to really get used to, which is remote work will definitely is here to stay. So you need to think about setting that up, think about, and when you set up a remote work, you'll need to think I mean, let's face it, even if you're working from home as an employee, you will need to think like a business, because you'll need to think about, redundancy of your computer, because that will be your primary way of making a living.
Hmm.
So what happens if that computer doesn't work anymore? What happens if your internet shuts down? You'll
Hmm.
need to think about these things. What about data backup? Because if you're working primarily from home, you'll need to you'll need to take on some responsibility for managing your infrastructure, your network, and all that.
Well,
So
cybersecurity as well. I
yeah,
mean, going through
exactly.
home Wi-Fi's and things,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff here for sure.
Yeah. So that's what we are trying to, guide you, that whatever mode you want to live in, or make your living in, that's up to you. But what is the optimal way of going about it is what we are trying to provide, and give you the tools to get to wherever you want to go to. But definitely, make no mistake, these are changing times, and fundamental changes are coming, and people who will adapt, they will flourish, and people who do not adapt, they will have a tough time moving forward.
Absolutely. As engineers, we'll all be used to this, but I know this is going at a strange time for some people in certain time zones. Manoj and I are on different continents, so we have to choose times that we can squeeze this in without waking up our entire house. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody watching the live, either in the Facebook group or on YouTube, have any questions? Anything you'd like to know? Just drop it in the comments box. Even once we've gone offline, we do read the comments and pick those up, and we'll be happy to address them for you in any future live videos. So anything you need to know, just get stuck in, and we'll be happy to answer it for you.
Yeah. So, and even if you watch it on replay, just drop in a comment, just
Yep.
with the replay comment, so that we know that whoever is interested. And again, this will be driven by community initiative and participation. So, uh, so there's a question here: what are the skills required for remote work, and how to find it? So Prayag,
Good question.
yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we are working on. If you are on YouTube, come join us in the Facebook group. Let me just make sure that I drop in the
Come
Facebook.
join the remote working revolution.
Yeah, yeah,
But no, but on a serious note, it does. I'll answer this in two parts. Obviously, there's certain technical skills that you can leverage out in remote work, either as a contractor or as a freelancer. In terms of the actual skills as a person, it does require a different way of thinking. It's quite tough. I mean, even little things like, it's very easy to stay in your pajamas. It's very easy not to set an alarm and just to get up when you wake up and maybe not shower until the afternoon. And it's just not productive. So you do have to be quite a self-disciplined person. You do need to be somebody who can set an alarm, set a structure. I always say, know when you're starting and know when you're stopping. Because I have the opposite problem, which is if I don't give myself a set time to stop, I'll just continue working right through until I'm ready to fall asleep on the laptop.
Yeah, so you need to build a schedule. Don't get into the habit of sort of wearing your house clothes, or whatever, your pajamas or whatever, and just walking around.
Mm-hmm.
uh, just get into the habit of maintaining a routine of getting up at a certain time, dressing up in some sort of a professional attire, whatever you want to call it. I mean,
Yep.
something that changes your mindset from a household time to a professional time,
Mm.
whatever that is. uh,
Yeah.
so that your mind gets into this rhythm of, there was a time in your home environment when it was leisure time, and
Mm-hmm.
now it has switched to a professional time. So you need to
Definitely.
train your mind to do these things. So maintaining that kind of routine will help, and changing things like attire, making a adopting a professional
Yep.
attire will help. Now there's another question: um, what is the advice for fresh graduates seeking?
Good
So
question.
yeah, good question. I mean, fresh graduates have an advantage in certain sense, that they don't have to unlearn a lot of things
Yep.
that have been taught to them in the industry. So the best advice right now, and this is not just for fresh graduates but for everyone, is to notice what people need most right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do not focus on what your skills are. Like, don't focus on, oh, I can I can write a program in and I can do Azure, I can manage AWS. Think about what other people need right now, meaning
Hmm.
do people need to move their documents from their laptop to the cloud? Oh, maybe I can help them do that, because
Hmm.
if you go and talk to them about what they need and maybe understand what are their problems, and you can help them solve those problems, then you're in business, right? So think about what other people need and try to give it to them, rather than thinking about what you have and how other people can use it, because
Mm.
then you're basically leaving it on them to figure out how they can use you. That's not going to work.
Yeah, it's reverse engineering it again, isn't it? It's knowing the solution that they need and how you're going to provide it. And then it's about, whether it's a job or anything else, it's about marketing yourself and knowing how to put yourself in front of these people. Manoj and I have had this conversation numerous times, because technical sales within the tech industry is such an interesting field, because you have people who are very technically minded that then struggle when they're put in front of a non-technically minded board to explain their concepts, because they want to go too technical. And
Yeah,
actually what the board want to know is, how much is it going to cost me? What's it going to do? How successful is it going to be? How are we going to measure it? And how quickly can you get on with it?
yeah,
That's what they want to know.
exactly.
So it's about being able to know how to put that message across to people. I think one piece of advice, though, that I'd also give you is, the smaller businesses, your surviving tech firms in sort of the SMEs, the maybe startups, but certainly the SMEs, they'd be a good place to target, because what they don't have is huge budgets to go and get people that are 5, 6, 7 years post qualification experience. And actually, you turning up might be absolutely the perfect thing for them right now. I've also seen many people start exactly like that, coming in as a graduate to provide solutions to a business, that have then gone on to become their tech manager, their IT manager, solutions manager, director, head, and above. It's all about spotting the opportunity and positioning yourself in front of it. And that's a lot of what this group is going to be about, is helping you to know just exactly how to do that.
Yeah. And as we were discussing it, what I try to do is I try to go down to the fundamentals. So in this case, when we say try to look for what other people need, the basic skill you need to really focus on is communications. Okay.
Mm.
So meaning communication includes listening, because only if you listen very carefully, you will be able to understand what other people's problems are. So um, obviously do practice your technical skills, like whatever skills you have acquired or studied in your university or college, but make sure you continue to sharpen your communication skills, because those will be very, very important moving forward.
Well, I'll give you a prime example, one that works recently. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, about one of the industries I help support, and he was very doom and gloom. It's gone, it's finished, it's destroyed, might come back, but there's nothing there now. And I carried on speaking to my network, because, in years and years gone by, I might have taken that opinion and gone, oh, well, there's nothing there, then what's next? But I
Mhm.
carried on talking to people. You carry on communicating and having a conversation with your network. And after hours of conversations, there was just one line in somebody's conversation that made me realize something completely different. And they said, of course, that's just here in North America. Singapore's still booming.
Mhm.
And I said, excuse me? I said, Singapore's still nice and busy. He said, oh, yeah. He said, if anything, they're enhancing it. So I then went and had a number of conversations in Singapore, and ended up picking up a brand new contract in a time where we're being told that this market doesn't exist. I've just won a nice big new client that actually I'm really happy to win. I've known about them for a long time, and I'm really pleased to pick them up. So this is the time for opportunity. Manoj is right. There's a working example. I wouldn't have known that had I not have had those conversations and communicated and listened to what people were saying.
Yeah,
Um, yes, we can get on the phone to each other and moan about how strange this is, and there's no toilet roll at the shops and all that kind of stuff. But that's not moving us any further forward. It's about having conversations that are going to inspire ideas and, overcome problems and create solutions.
yeah. So keep those things in mind as you're thinking about what is going on, thinking about what your next steps are. Definitely, do not consume any negative material.
Mm.
Do not drown yourself into the news cycle. do not start to extrapolate the numbers and imagine the worst case scenarios or those type of things.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have to imagine something, just think about the things that you can do something about.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, like making sure you're taken care of, the basics are taken care of: food, water, and safety, and shelter and stuff like that. But other than that, and obviously cleanliness and the social distancing, those things are taken care of.
Yep.
Everything else is pretty much outside of your control, other than just preparing yourself, thinking about what your next steps are, getting some clarity. But because if you start making decisions in haste,
Mm.
in without a lot of clarity, with some frustration or fear or whatever, those decisions are definitely going to be wrong, right? So they may have
100%.
long term implications.
I have a book recommendation actually for anybody wanting to kind of learn more about this kind of mindset as well. A fantastic guy called Daniel Priestley. It's an audio book on Audible on Amazon, and you can pick it up anywhere. It's not a very long book. You can probably read it in a day, day and a half, depending on the time commitment you can give to it. But it's called Entrepreneur Revolution, and it's exactly what Manoj and I are talking about. It's about moving away from the industrial mindset, this mindset of I need to move to the city to get a job. I need to do this. I need to do this. We need to rethink the way we think about jobs. He talks about the next generation being the entrepreneurs revolution. It's about entrepreneurs who are going to come forward and be able to work from where they want to work from. And I'm not just talking about business owners here. I'm talking about contractors as well. You have to start thinking about yourself and taking care of yourself and treating yourself in a way that says, how am I going to take care of number one? How do I adapt and continue to grow with this market?
Mm-hmm.
So definitely highly recommend that book. I've actually read a lot of Dan's stuff. He's a great guy. I've seen him speak live a few times as well. Recommend his stuff, but I would definitely check that out. If you're looking to try and think about the mindset, maybe you're sort of thinking, well, I understand I should be thinking differently, but how? What does that look like? That'd be a good place to start. I definitely recommend that.
Mm-hmm. And there's a question: how much remote working persons earn and how many hours they need to put in. So it all depends, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
this is I wish we had like a blanket sort of answer for it. It all depends, as you know, like on your skill set, what the market demand is.
Mm-hmm.
What areas, what industries you want to apply it in. I mean, for example, data analytics can be applied in healthcare technology, which is going to be booming moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
or airline industry, for example, may be suffering quite a bit right now. So it depends on what your skill set is, what the market demand is, what kind of industry you want to get into, what your interest level is, and also what are some of the other non-technical skills you have acquired. And that's where we were saying earlier, just having one special skill may not be enough moving
Mm-hmm.
forward. You'll need to acquire other skills and build a well-rounded profile. And people who have multiple skill sets to offer will more likely be favored, obviously, right? And this will
Mm-hmm.
become even more important moving forward. So um, what we are trying to do is give you some guidance on how to design your individual lives,
Mm-hmm.
because we can come in and say, okay, this is the path everybody goes in. And like, let's say if you are a few thousand of you who are part of this community, they go exactly the same way. We will all start to trip over each other,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's as an individual. So we will provide you some guidance on how to understand what the market demand is, how you build your own profile, how you go after your um, own type of clients, and how do you make sure that you deliver the service that you really enjoy providing. And so that everybody gets uh, what they want, and nobody trips over each other, and there's no, like, uh, this herd sort of mentality, going towards the single solution for everyone.
Mm. Yeah, look, it's exactly that. It's about how you package yourself,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's about knowing whether or not you should be providing an end-to-end solution, or whether you should be deconstructing your offering just to offer a certain bit of it over and over again. So there's a whole host of factors that would come into it, obviously
Yeah.
depending on your skill set.
Yeah.
But one thing I would say is, as somebody who benefited from remote working in this way, you can also remove the restrictions on yourself. So, for example, if you have a certain job and in your city the limit is here, okay, well, when you work remote, there are places globally that will pay more than that for your services. I always, when I was living in South Africa, I was spending rand, and I always used to love earning US dollars and Great British pounds because the exchange rate was really strong at the time. And you can have a lot of fun with stuff like that. So actually, it's about knowing how to take advantage of the situation as well in the right way. I don't mean in a negative way, but if you're going to put in all of those hours of work, you might as well do so for a project that you care about, being rewarded in the best possible way, financially and otherwise. So yeah, it is definitely about packaging yourself. I mean, how much work can you do? I mean, again, how long's a piece of string? If you're selling a certain small part of your package, you could choose to just do that for a couple of hours a day if you wish to, or you could make it something more long-term, full-time. So there's a range of stuff there. But as Manu just said, this is the aim. It's to share our ideas with you, our experiences with you, and the experience of other leaders within the industry that we know and we work with. And it's about helping you to just sort of bounce around some ideas so that you can create the ideal path for you to achieve whatever your ultimate objective is.
Yeah, I mean, that saying that we just want to teach you how to fish rather than give you
Yeah,
the fish. So, but along the way, like we will be with you, because we are also learning a lot of these new paradigms.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's about being more self-dependent, and sort of preparing for any kind. I mean, this is the biggest challenge we have faced, as a species, as a community, as a country, or whatever you identify with. And so if we can get through this challenge, I think it will prepare us well for any other challenge that life can throw us at us, right?
Agreed.
Mhm.
Yeah,
All right. So I think, yeah, I mean, this was a good talk. So please drop in your comments, or let us know what exactly you need help with, and we will try to bring that to you as quickly as possible and in as much detail as we can.
for sure. Join the group on Facebook as well, so you'll see the notifications when they come out. The remote working revolution will start in terms of our strategy podcasts and live videos and all that kind of stuff over the next week or so. So keep your eyes peeled for that. It'll be the early part of this coming week. Any questions, as Manu shares, anything you'd particularly like to learn about, anything that you're struggling with at the moment, or even if you just kind of have some burning questions that you'd really like to have answered, we're here for you. The whole community is, and together we can certainly help each other to carve out a path to success.
Yeah, yeah, cool. All right. So yeah, as we said, please keep it interactive. Drop in your
Mm-hmm.
comments, share with your friends. Let them know. The more people we can get involved, the better. Because we want to harvest more ideas, help more people. So please bring in anybody who can use this help. Thanks.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. Great.